Okay, so today we're going to talk about riding in a group. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Unless you're a lone wolf, generally at some point you're going to ride out with some of your friends. And why not? It's great fun, it's a good social activity. But there are some do's and don'ts, and I thought today we'd have a little talk about them. Probably the most important thing to do before you set out is to consider who is going to be at the head of the group and who's going to be at the tail of the group. If you don't organise, what will naturally happen is the faster riders will push their way to the front and clear off into the distance. But this doesn't lead to a great riding experience for the whole group. If you're the slower rider, you'll become very self-conscious that you're holding everybody up. If you're the faster rider, you're forever slowing down or stopping and waiting for the slow riders to catch up. And also, if you don't stay together as a group, there's a pretty good chance that somebody's going to get lost. Perhaps the better thing to do is to put the slower rider at the front, because in many situations, like where you may drop back, the quicker riders can make up the gap much quickly. Say we're picking away through traffic or something like that. And also, if you've got the quicker bike, it's not a problem sitting further back. You can sit back like I'm doing now and then have a few seconds of blast like this to pull the slower bike back in again. That way you don't miss out on your power-hungry fun. Experience is important too. It's a good idea to think about who is going to be sitting at the front of the back. If we're on longer journeys, today we're on a short journey, so Tom's taking the lead just to give him a bit more experience. But on longer journeys, obviously you're going to have a navigator, and what we tend to do is have a person who's navigating with GPS, for example, at the front, and also one at the back of the group. That way you've always got somebody at the back who knows where we're going and can sweep up anybody that starts to get a bit lost should the group get separated. It's a very good idea also to have radio communication between the front and the back of the group, if possible, because these systems can be very expensive. If you've got bags of money, of course, it's even better, because you can get one of those pack talk systems where you can communicate with all your friends and have a jolly good time. However, for those of us on more of a budget, it's probably more sensible to have a system where at least you can communicate with the front and back of the group, and you can keep communication with what's happening to various people. If somebody has a problem, for example, then the sweeper at the back of the group can communicate that, and the leader can stop the group, maybe turn it round, depending on what the main situation may be. Also in a group, it's probably not a bad idea to actually carry some sort of first aid kit also. A legal requirement in some countries, it should be noted, particularly if you ride into Europe. But not a bad idea generally, just in case, particularly in a large group. There's also about the way that you line up. As you can see, I'm following Deb at the moment, and Deb's following Tom, and we're in the main, apart from Deb's just lined up, generally you don't ride exactly line astern. If you're on a straight, for example, it's best to stagger, so one would sit on the inside of the other, and so one's on the inside, one's sat on the outside, and it goes on rather like a ladder down the line of riders. This allows the group to bunch up a little bit closer, but still gives you plenty of run-off. For example, if something was to happen, if Tom suddenly slammed the brakes on and Deb was slightly to the right of him or to the left of him, she'd have that extra room, to have the bike length's room in which to stop. And then me sitting behind would again have the length of Deb's bike before I needed to stop. So it gives you that extra few feet of stopping distance and that little margin of safety. And also, if you're following somebody closely and you're sitting right behind them, obviously it's obscuring your view of the road also. So that comes to the other point as well. When following in a group, when you get to the twisty roads, obviously you're going to want to pick your line through the corners. So you tend to, as you hit the corners, you tend to drop the staggering a little bit if you need to, and form more line astern. But to do that, what you need to do is back up and then give each other more room. It's not a great idea to be sitting right on each other's tails as you go through corners. It looks fun and looks great on camera, and of course there's what they do on the racetracks, but the road is not a racetrack. We've always got to make allowance for that somebody may make a mistake, or there may be a problem with the road, or somebody may pull out. You know, any number of things that could happen, we need to anticipate. So what we'll tend to do as we hit fast corners is drop that little distance back from each other and just give ourselves again that margin of safety. Safety is important consideration, particularly when riding in a group. There's a large number of people. So what we don't want to happen, it's bad if one person has a problem, it's much worse if multiple people have a problem, and then we've got a real critical situation on our hands. If you're not running a communication system, which we're not doing today, then obviously communication can be a bit of a problem. So it's a good idea to have some sort of hand signal that you all recognise each other. There are some fairly obvious ones, but also some hand signals about which direction you intend to take, just so you can signal back to the group, or if you've got a problem, that kind of thing, just so if you need to get fuel, for example, just so you've got some way of communicating back through the line of the group that you've got some sort of problem, or you intend to make a manoeuvre, or whatever it may be, or you know, you want to go for a drink, you need a wee. Again, having a communication system makes things much simpler, but you know, you're not going to always have electronic communication on board. I think the important thing for a group really is just to make sure that everybody's having a good time and make sure everybody enjoys the experience. Riding in a group is very enjoyable, it's a real pleasure. And when you see the much larger groups, the old traditional Hells Angel groups, because they're not really travelling very quickly normally, they're just enjoying hanging out, you know, and it's not about being a racer, it's about having a damn good time. And sometimes you ride a bike just to relax. It's not about how quick you can go. I think if every time you get on a bike or you buy a bike with the sole intention of seeing how fast it will go, to me you probably miss the point. You're missing out a great deal of riding pleasure. So as you can see, we've hit the twisties and we've spread out a little bit now, just giving everybody a little bit of room. Obviously you don't want to drop too far back, you want to keep everybody comfortably inside, but we're not giving anybody, we're not crowding anybody, we're just riding nice and safely. And we're also, of course, in a group, it pays to be vigilant, particularly for the front riders. If you're in a large group, once the first guy comes past, anybody sitting in the junction is going to get the idea that there's a large group of bikers coming by. So, you know, best get ready to wait a while. If you're the front guy, you may see a large group coming and he may try and get out because he doesn't want to get held up. Because obviously whatever he is doing is always going to be more important, or at least in his mind, than what we're up to. So I think the only thing that needs to be said now really is, well, so again, really just stay safe. Stay safe and have fun as we're doing today. You don't have to ride like a maniac, well, not all the time, but you just make sure that we're having fun, stay safe, have fun and enjoy biking. And if you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe. That way it'll encourage me to make a few more videos. I do enjoy making them, but it's very nice if we find that other people are watching them. Gives me that little bit of motivation. So thanks for watching.